I started playing basketball since I was 2. My father put a basketball in my hands. I haven't put it down since.
Kobe Bryayt has hit a shot at the buzzer! Whoa! To the basket side. Oh, what a finish. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles.
When you get in that zone, it's just a supreme confidence that you know it's going in.
81-point game.
Extends and puts it down. He has the all-time record at Madison Square Garden, 61 points. Just an epic performance by Kobe Bryayt.
It's been a heck of a journey.
I couldn't even dream of this when I was a kid. It's a blessing from above to be able to play this game.
Hey, welcome into First Take. Thank you for hanging with us. Skip Bayless, Molly Karam here in studio. Stephen A. joins us from Philly, where a lot of action is happening. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good.
I am glad you are there to validate Kobe's last hurrah in Philly. Seriously, I'm happy you're there.
Yeah, well, I'm sad to be here because I wish it wasn't the end for him, but I'm happy to be here. The bad part about it is I also have to watch the Sixers, too, but that's a story for another day.
Well, you also have to watch the Lakers. That's not much better, right?
Yeah,
2
that's
and
true.
14.
That's
wow.
true.
All right, speaking of which, let's get into that game that Stephen A. will be covering. Tonight, the 0-18 76ers host the Lakers. This will be Kobe Bryant's final trip home, playing his last game in Philadelphia. He hasn't played in Philly since 2012, so it will be a nostalgic night for sure. And speaking of nostalgia, it's been a couple of days since Kobe announced his retirement on Sunday. Stephen A., where does Kobe rank in your top 10 all-time?
Well, I'm not going to put him in the top 5. Let's say that. I say top 10 specifically because I can't put him in my top 5 because when I think about my top 5 of all time, I think along the lines of Magic, Bird, Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan, who I consider to be the greatest power forward of all time. It depends on how you look at it. Obviously, Shaquille O'Neal, Wilt Chamberlain, those are names that come to mind. Wilt Chamberlain, you had to change the rules of the game. Things of that nature. And, of course, Bill Russell is the ultimate champion, even though I don't consider, believe it or not, Bill Russell is an 11-time champion. He's the greatest champion we've ever seen. But, Skip, if I could parse a little bit, I don't think the greatest champion amounts to being the greatest player because I think Wilt Chamberlain was a greater player than Bill Russell. Is that Bill Russell had a better team and Bill Russell was a better winner per se. So when I look at it from that perspective, I think about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and his 6 championships, his dominance, the most unstoppable move in basketball. I would put him in my top 5. That's just me. But I definitely think that Kobe Bryant is top 10. I think he's the number 2, either 2 or 3 guard behind Michael Jordan. I wasn't born at the time that Oscar Robertson was being what he was, so I don't want to sound sacrilegious because I'm here in Philadelphia and Mr. Basketball himself, the great Sonny Hill, is in Philadelphia. I'll probably see him tonight. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble by saying Kobe was better than Oscar, but I saw more of Kobe than I did of Oscar, and even though I know the Oscar averaged a triple-double in 61-62, the reality is that when I think about Kobe Bryant, I think about the 5 championships, okay? I think about the scoring championship. I think about the 2 Olympic titles. I think about being a 17-time All-Star, an 11-time first-teamer, a 9-time All-Defensive player, and I think along the lines of Kobe behind Michael Jordan. So I put Kobe Bryant as number 2 as the off-guard of all time, and I put him in my top 10 somewhere in the bottom 5, not the top 5.
Okay, so where does Kobe rank in your all-time top 10?
Well, it depends on how you look at it, Skip. I mean, okay, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Kareem, Tim Duncan.
Does he make it in your top 10?
He makes the top 10. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It sounds like barely because you named about 8 there that you won in your top 10, and you did not get to Kobe yet.
Well, I'm saying to you, it depends on how you're looking at it because I think he's number 2 all time as the off guard behind Michael Jordan. Okay. But what if somebody said to me, I'm gonna put Shaq and Wilt and Kareem in the top 10? You see what I'm saying? That's where it's difficult for me. But he's in my top 10. The bottom 5 of the top 10 is what I'm saying.
All right. Here's where I am because here's where I always was. The day after Kobe won his last championship and another one without Shaq, so he won 2 without Shaq and 3 with Shaq. But after he won his second with Gasol, I said the next day, I will now put Kobe in my top 10 at 10th. And I've got Kobe still at 10th in my top 10. And I realize a whole lot of folks in our audience right now are pulling hair out saying, Kobe's only 10th in your top 10. Listen, it's a close call. And before I get into my whole argument here, I'm going to tell you that I have elevated LeBron James to 9th in my top 10. So I've got Kobe 10 and LeBron 9. And I want to tell you all the players who did not make the cut in my top 10. Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Mr. Logo, Oscar Robertson you brought up, Dr. J, Moses Malone, Elgin Baylor. I could go on. There are a whole lot of players who are worthy of top 10 consideration. I did not do them. Now, before I make my case here, I want to tell you, I'm talking about value here. Most valuable all-time top 10 players. The player I want to start my team with, maybe build around, the most valuable. If I'm talking about watchability, if I'm talking about box office, entertainment value, I've got Kobe number 2 all-time to Michael Jordan. So if it's a game to watch, if I get to choose, oh, tonight I'm going to watch so-and-so all-time, I want Michael number 1, and number 2 on my list is Kobe Bryant. All-time great box office, not an all-time great player as it compares to the people above him. I've got Michael Jordan number 1, Magic 2, Shaq 3, because for those 3 years, they're around the turn of this century, he was the most dominant offensive force I have ever witnessed. He was so dominant that I've elevated it all the way to 3 on my list above Bill Russell. I know you discount a little bit, but I got to tell you, 11 championships in 13 years. He took Wilt to school every time they went head-to-head. He just had his number. He owned Wilt Chamberlain. And Wilt's in my top 10 also, but I got to give Bill Russell 4. I'll give Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 5. Tim Duncan with 5 championships is number 6 on my list. Wilt, who, as you say, just flat-out changed the game. One year, Wilt averaged 50 points, 26 rebounds, and one year he led the league in assists. He dominated the game in ways nobody's ever dominated before, totally offensively. I got Larry Bird at 8, and I got LeBron James 1 rung ahead of Kobe. And I'll tell you what, it boils down to this to me, Stephen A. Smith. LeBron is the better all-around basketball player than Kobe Bryant. LeBron is classically unselfish. One of the, right there with Magic as the all-time greatest teammate to have, LeBron does more things better than Kobe does. If I want Kobe, if I need a basket scored late, I want Kobe with the ball in his hands. But that doesn't happen often enough that I would take Kobe over LeBron. So when I look at LeBron's numbers, his career numbers across the board are better. A little better scoring, a little better rebound, quite a bit better rebounding, much better in assists, a little better in steals. The only thing Kobe does better than LeBron is make free throws. Kobe's an 84% career free throw shooter. LeBron's still at 74%, which is, that's his one flaw. He should be better than that. He should be a 90% free throw shooter, and he's not. So my point is, LeBron, with his 2 titles, 4 losses, I get that, but with his 4 MVPs to Kobe's 1 MVP, I got to give LeBron a slight nod at 9 over Kobe at 10. And I'm giving Kobe a lot of respect to put him 10th on this list, to me, even though a lot of people think it's disrespect.
Well, the Kobe at 10 works for me.
Okay.
I can agree with you there, particularly when you highlight the other 9. But what I need you to do for me is, do you draw a distinction between a great champion and a great player, or do you lump it all in together? Because if we're talking great player, Wilt Chamberlain to me, averaging 30 and more than 22 rebounds a game.
Yep.
It's something I can't ignore. But I can't give him the edge over a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because the man has 6 NBA titles. I can look at some of the power forwards that have played, this game.
Yep.
But I can't ignore Tim Duncan's 5 NBA titles. I think that Oscar Robertson, you're talking about a guy that averaged 25, 9, and 7 for his career. Okay, was a 12-time NBA All-Star and universally recognized one of the greatest point guards in the history of basketball.
Yeah.
But I can't ignore 5 rings from Magic Johnson and the orchestrator and architect of Showtime. I can't do that. So I need you to categorize, categorize matters, to tell me what your category is.
Okay, you have to have won something for me to put you in my top 10. And Wilt did win 2 championships.
He won 2 titles.
Yeah, and he won 4 MVPs. And he won, what, 7 scoring titles? Again,
okay.
He's a combination of he won enough to qualify, but just as a solo act, I don't think there's ever been a greater solo act in the history of this game than Wilt Chamberlain.
That's fair,
yeah.
But let me ask you this question. With that being said, is it fair to put 3 centers in the top 10?
I don't care what position they play. I'm doing it regardless
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Shaq was the most dominant force we have ever seen since Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah,
so I can't leave Shaq out of my top 10.
I didn't.
I can't leave Kareem out of the top 10 because he's the all-time scoring champion with the most unstoppable move. And then there's Wilt Chamberlain. So we got 3 centers.
All right.
We got Magic and Michael. That's automatic. That's 5. Okay? You got Tim Duncan up in there. That's 6. All right? You look at Kobe and LeBron. They must be there. Bird must be there.
Yep.
That's 9.
Okay.
And then and of course there's Oscar. So to me, those are my top 10. And I have no problem. I would put Kobe, however, as sacrilegious as it may sound to the old school dudes, I would have to put Kobe before Oscar Robertson.
Okay.
Because Oscar Robertson had 1 title, played in Cincinnati and Milwaukee, and even though he averaged 25, 9, and 7, and he was a walking triple-double, etc.,
he was.
I'm thinking about 5 rings, and the fact that 2 of them came without Shaquille O'Neal, with everybody aiming for Kobe, and Kobe dropping digits the way that he did.
All right.
They're all in my top 10, but I'd have to put Kobe above Oscar because of that, and I didn't even mention Bill Russell, so of course Bill Russell's in there. Those are your top 10, but 4 centers are up in there.
Okay, that's fine with me. But here's where the collision occurs. It's the 2 current players that we're debating. It's LeBron or Kobe. Do you have LeBron in your all-time top 10 yet? Because you're not mentioning him.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I think you got a top 12 now. No?
Why do I got a top 12?
I don't know. It seems like we got too many players because if you're... Okay, so do you have LeBron above Kobe?
No, I don't have him above Kobe because he doesn't have 5 rings.
Okay.
Kobe does. And not only that, but at the end of LeBron's career, he could end up there, but it took LeBron a little while to get to this level. Kobe was at this level for a long, sustained period of time up until, health and Father Time kicked in a couple of years ago with the Achilles. Prior to that, Kobe was Kobe for more than a decade. So I would have to sit up there. You talk about in terms of starting a team. Because remember when we had the debate about LeBron and Larry Bird?
Yes, we did.
I said to you, give me LeBron James all day, every day for the first 46 minutes, and give me Bird for the last 2.
I agree.
You remember I said that?
You did.
So that's where I'm at. So again, we're talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So are we both arriving at the same conclusion that I have Kobe 10th and LeBron 9th, and you're good with that?
I would reverse it. I know LeBron is a better complete player. You understand, who does more things. But you're talking about 1 game to deliver the goods. Kobe in his prime and LeBron, I got to roll with Kobe because he's the Black Mamba. And he's got the 5 rings to validate it.
Okay, but 3 of those
came. Kobe at this point.
3 of those came courtesy of Shaquille O'Neal. I'm not saying I give him all the credit, but I give him the bulk of the credit, Shaq, for 3 of Kobe's ring, the first 3, obviously.
And I'm saying to you, that's fair. But keep in mind that their first title, when they beat the Indiana Pacers, that pivotal game, it was either game 4 or 5.
I remember it.
Shaq went down.
He did.
And Kobe had to come through, and Kobe put it on him.
He did.
You understand? So it's not like he was riding the coattails of Shaquille O'Neal. He was waiting for his moment, and when his moment arrived, he validated the Shaq Kobe era because
Okay.
Kobe showed up and closed the deal. Not to mention that Phil would sit up there and feed Shaq, but in the fourth quarter he leaned on Kobe because of Shaq's free throw shooting, and Kobe delivered the goods time and time and time again.
Okay.
So I can't ignore that.
All right, so Kobe won 2, quote-unquote, by himself with Pau Gasol. LeBron has won 2. He's also lost 4. But LeBron has 4 MVPs and Kobe only has 1 MVP. So I have to give LeBron the slide. You're going on mystique. You're going about, you're thinking of that one game, you want the Mamba. You want the ball in his hands, and I get that. Although there have been later stats, like the last 5 years, Kobe has not been very good in those late and close moments, the clutch moments. He was for a long time, but the last 5 years he has waned and declined, and it hurts his career stats. But I'm not sure that's a big edge anymore.
I'm holding you accountable for what you did in your prime.
All right.
Michael Jordan wasn't what he was when he was with the Wizards. Kobe wasn't what he was in the latter part of his career, particularly after that Achilles. So I'm not holding that. And LeBron won't be what we're seeing him be as he ages, because the physicality that he has to his advantage won't work as much to his advantage at that particular moment in time the way that it's doing so right now. So we understand that. What we're saying is that you in your prime, what did you deliver? And what we saw, we saw LeBron, as great as he is, lose 4 finals.
Yep.
3 of them in his prime.
Yep.
I don't count against Cleveland, and I don't really count last year. But that loss to Dallas was a big deal. The loss to San Antonio, even though Dwayne Wade wasn't 100%, was a big deal because of how they got beat down.
Yep.
With Kobe and Shaq, when they lost to Detroit, that was a soap opera. You remember all the nonsense that was going on. That wasn't even a team at that point when they lost to Detroit. And when he lost to Boston in that closeout game 6 by 39 points, Bynum wasn't healthy, and Gasol and those boys weren't ready. In LeBron's case, there are 2 legitimate titles that he legitimately could have and should have won and lost.
Yep.
And there were 2 that he won.
Okay, all right, I got it. Bottom line to this discussion,
All right.
I will bet you a majority of our audience out there right now has Kobe in its top 5. I will bet you.
I want to recap what you guys have, though. So, Skip, you have Kobe at 10 in terms of value. That's behind LeBron. Stephen Hay has the opposite, Kobe at 9, LeBron at 10. But you have Kobe number 2 in terms of entertainment value.
Watchability.
Behind Michael Jordan. All right, let's move on.